I'm gonna try to make this quick. Recap tonight. We got video most of it. Let's see. There's the gentleman that we brought a blanket to. Got to visit with Dean a little bit, and then of course there was the screaming and shouting down here at the parking lot when I was approaching. That ended up not being anything big. I just wanted to make sure that nobody was... From a distance, I couldn't exactly hear what all the words were. It sounded like there was some possibly angry or potentially drunk teenagers that were, whatever. But when I got closer, it was pretty obvious it wasn't... It didn't smell like alcohol. It wasn't anything like that. It was just basically friends having fun and hanging out. The young woman who spoke in there, who said they were all right, and obviously it's not the same Alicia. It's not Alicia Bollinger. Matter of fact, that would be Alicia Bollinger. The woman last night, she's somebody I do know here in Hood River. That's why she let me know her name. It was dark and I couldn't see her that well, and they couldn't see me that well, so that is recorded on oddly a couple of videos about how I needed to go poop. Let's see. Yeah, other than that, it was a not so eventful night. Of course, that lady, I know her from one of the places in town I go to visit, and I kill her smile. I don't know why. She is a very smiley person, and I know this because, when I go into a place, I look at all the architecture, but I also pay attention to the people, how they interact, how they react. She's also the only one that ever noticed me looking up, which is always odd to me too, because well, that's not true. There's one other lady in there who every once in a while when I look up, she meets eyes with me. But for the most part, they're pretty busy doing their Starbucks stuff. And I think the thing that pushed it for me. I think probably the reason she notices me looking every time I look up is because she's already looking over my direction. So it might not even be that she's looking at me over by the seat that I sit by. There's a kind of a pretty scene outside of the window, and she might just be looking in my general direction and looking out the window. But I really do kill her smile. That part is absolutely true. She does smile quite a bit. I think that might be because the homeless thing. I know a lot of people will try to make sure that they don't give somebody who's homeless any indication or anything that could be construed as, wanting to have a relationship with at least somebody who's had to deal with it. Hey, motherfucker, get away from me! What the hell? I couldn't tell if that was a wasp or if that was a giant fucking mosquito, but that thing was scary. And it's still in my car, so my phone's about to die, and I was about to start up my car to make that phone call. Now I am wanting to make sure it's just a giant mosquito before getting back in. Obviously, it wouldn't be a bee. That would be either a hornet or a wasp or something. It just... They're not necessarily... They might sting you just because they landed on you. So I try to steer clear of them. a giant pain in the butt. So I guess let's open up the back of it and give him an extra exit just in case. I definitely don't want to get stung. I'm not allergic, but I've seen some people that got stung in some pretty bad places, and even if you're not allergic, those places suck. Getting stung in the face is not pleasant, especially if you get stung inside of the nostril, on your tongue, inside of your ear, or on your eyeball. What else were we going over? Oh yeah, the recap from last night. I made sure that I had this thing recording the whole time. The 2 videos about me having to go drop a deuce and having people in there that they knew who I was, which made things a little easier to deal with. It also made it so that, alright, because I do kill her smile every time I go up to the front counter and talk to her. Like, I probably had to tell her 30 jokes before she laughed at one. But of course, with not wanting to give people the wrong impression. Like, alright, you guys remember the guy with the rocks? If you do, cool. If not, he's back in either on my Facebook or my YouTube. It's one or the other, I don't remember. But it is recorded with that guy with the rocks. And, I can understand if she had an encounter with somebody like him who would come out of the creek on a day that's freezing without shoes or a jacket, and he decided that he was in love with her and was going to put a rock on her car. I can understand how she might be a little standoffish with people after that. That's not saying that she has any of those kind of experiences. That's not saying that she's ever been stalked by an actual crazy person. That's just speculation. Yeah, real smart of me, right? It's just guessing. I don't know, what it is. I know that she is a smiley person, and I know that there's a lot of other people there that are smiley persons, so maybe I'm just a real scary feller, right? Roar. But last night, I didn't know who it was. If I had known it was her, I still would have shown up and done the same thing and made sure it wasn't a fight or an argument or, something that could potentially lead to more death. Those of you who know Pierre and you knew Haley Smith and you knew Brian Farmer and Jared Wallace and all them, that kind of a situation can end up in people dying quick. I mean, it wasn't just 3 people that I knew that got stabbed. It was also the guy who stabbed him I knew. That was my friend, Dino. Stabbed Brian Farmer right in the side of his head. And of course, it was all over an argument over a girl who was drunk, and they were all drunk. And yeah, Haley, basically, Dino wanted to leave, and Haley wasn't going to let him do it. And of course, Haley ended up getting her boyfriend stabbed to death that night, and his best friend, and this is really what it's like with them kids that we tried to run off. This is really the situation in Boulder with them kids that we tried to run off. These are those actual kids in Boulder. Pierre is one of those kids. Brian Farmer is one of those kids. Jared Wallace is one of those kids. Haley Smith is one of those kids. So, of course, when there's a situation like last night, I've seen stuff like that go from people laughing and thinking everything is fine and dandy to, oh my God, now there's fucking bodies. No, that's not a situation where, somebody with any sort of a decent sense of being a human being, that's not a situation where people are going to go, oh, well, that's not my business. I'm just going to walk away. Well, that seems very un American to me, especially since, we live in a society that's a capitalistic society. The only way to get anywhere in this society is to work together with others. But then, we got to keep on teaching our kids and training our kids that they got to do it all themselves, that we're not going to be there for them when they turn 18. We're not going to be family anymore when they turn 18. And then we complain that immigrants are doing better than we are when many of these immigrants come from cultures that are family-oriented cultures. That reduces your overhead. So, of course, with all of those dynamics involved, and with the dynamics of this being a parking lot in Hood River, Oregon, that, youngins like to come drink in, and they like to leave their garbage all over the place. And of course, I picked that up too. I got to get another garbage bag, by the way. If one of y'all can magic me a garbage bag here so I can pick up the garbage in the parking lot, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, so my experiences have led me to believe that the difference between somebody living and somebody dying is whether or not you go over there and at least make sure things are all right. At least go check on it. If you know that your neighbor is gone for the weekend with his wife and you have a party over at that house that you can hear it, you can see it, yeah, maybe you might not call the cops because you don't want them to get in trouble, but the least you can do is go over there and check on them. If there's situations like last night, it didn't sound, at first I was thinking it was a happy thing, and then it sounded like it got heated, so I came and checked it out. When I checked it out, it turned out they were just, messing around. They weren't trying to beat each other up, and they weren't trying to steal each other's cars. And if you guys, listen to that conversation, that's the one with the drop and plop. She did recognize me. I did let them know who I was. They did have some stuff they were saying that would make somebody think otherwise, make somebody believe that maybe there might be a situation there. And, with the number of friends that I've had that ended up dead, the number of fucking kids that I tried running off that came back and got dead, I mean, I take this shit seriously for a reason. Experience. And in my experience, 9 times out of 10, it's fucking nothing. In my experience, that 10th time, it is important enough and screwed up enough that it makes it worth it to check every fucking time. I don't care if you're embarrassed 9 times. I don't. What I care about is my loved ones getting killed. What I care about is what it does to my conscience if I look the other way. I can't do that. I don't have the ability to do that. I just saw something fly out of my car over there that looked like it was big enough to be a wasp or a hornet. So maybe we can get in, plug my phone in, and see about making this phone call. Oh my God, I gotta use the bathroom now. Oh. Life ain't what it seems. It ain't no fucking dream.